Hi there, I'm Sipka. This is the Apatros Review. Now in this episode we take a look at a 2002 video game called Quest for Hussein. Now this is a DOS computer game, and it's a first-person shooter, single player only, and it's only got a single 6-level episode. So there's only 6 levels, and by the way, you're watching the 6th and last level of the game. Now as for general playability on easy, it's moderately difficult for modern players. Although Duke Nukem fans will find this easy, especially since the Duke Nukem 3D DN Conholio cheat works wonders here. It's got no player allied bot support, and the enemy AI competence is a simple destroy and sight program, but the weapons are hit scan. Now the boss is usually approximately 50 times more durable than the most basic mooks. The player can carry all weapons and associated ammo, but there are only 5 weapons in this entire game. Even for that weapons counter shows 9 weapons. Now all the weapons are decent, although the M16, as you can see right here, is basically a reskin of the Duke Nukem pistol. It's the weakest in terms of damage. The shotgun is the most dependable due to its power and available ammo, but the RPG is the most powerful in terms of sheer damage. That being said, all the weapons are good. Now there's only one type of enemy in this game, a standard cartoon caricature of an Iraqi soldier mook, usually wearing brown pants and off-white shirt. Yeah, that guy. Now that Saddam Hussein, being the only boss in the game, is his toughest enemy, but only because he has boss level hit points. The whole game can be beaten under an hour for a good player, although I managed to beat this in under 15 minutes. Now in the past, I reviewed the somewhat pathetic Quest for Saddam game, which was made by Jason Petrilla, a patriotic video game modder, who decided once the Twin Towers fell to do his bit for American patriotism. I got no issues with that. But making cheap video games where the player takes on Al-Qaeda terrorists and Saddam Hussein's forces in Iraq. And by the way, this game actually came out right before the Iraq War. The first 2 games he made were Quest for Al-Qaeda, the Hunt for Bin Laden, which I'll review in the future, and Quest for Hussein, both of which were made using the build engine, the same engine used for Duke Nukem 3D, and a popular engine for modders. But because he was selling these games for a profit, which was against the open contract 3D Realms had with its users, the company had given fans of Duke Nukem 3D the ability to make as many mods as they wanted, provided they only distribute them by the internet and to never charge any money for their use. But because Jason Petrilla actually charged money for these games, he had to remake the Quest for Hussein game as Quest for Saddam, using a flashier looking but less capable engine in the Torque engine, which presented an interesting situation when an Al-Qaeda propaganda unit, calling itself the Global Islamic Media Front, or KIM for short, took Quest for Saddam, altered a few details, but kept most of the game intact, added an Islamic nasheed for the soundtrack, and releases for free as Night of Bush Capturing, commonly known as Quest for Bush. Now, as I've already reviewed Quest for Saddam and that Night of Bush Capturing game, so the time has come to review the original Quest for Hussein. It's comprised of 6 levels in a single episode, and as my stats mention, this can be beaten under an hour. A person clocked in around 50 minutes. As build engine mooks have hit scan weapons, this can be challenging for younger players not used to old school 99s FPS games. But that being said, the original Duke Nukem 3D cheat code of DN Conholio works fine here, even giving you an unlimited jetpack, which is otherwise inaccessible in the game. Interesting. You control an unnamed American soldier who goes through various structures in the Iraqi desert, killing every Iraqi soldier mook you come across. Now these mooks speak highly questionable cartoon Arabic, and repeatedly call out Saddam Hussein's name, and can be taken down very easily, as they have half the hit points as the Al-Qaeda mooks you hunt down in the previous Quest for Al-Qaeda game. The build engine gives a great deal of versatility to the level design, but there are no secret areas in this game, so you don't really have any replay value here besides the short length of the game. Now as for the boss level, you face it off against Saddam Hussein himself at the end, with the 6th level, and he has about 50 times the hit points as the soldier mooks do. It's because of this he presents a high challenge in the mooks, since Saddam has a machine gun, while the mooks have Tabuk assault rifles. Now Tabuk are basically a type of Iraqi AK. In fact, actually about those Tabuk rifles, a little bit of trivia for you. During the 80s and 90s, Yugoslavia actually went over to Iraq to help them build up their weapons industry. So the Iraqi AKs, which were, by the way, considered by the Kalashnikov concern as the worst AKs ever, were actually copies of the Serbian Yugoslav AK, which is a Zastava M70B1. Just a little trivia for you there. And, yeah. Now, there are some issues running build engine games and modern DOS box simulators. I mean, I had problems running World War II Giant because of the frame rate. But surprisingly enough, Quest for Hussein doesn't have any issues with current DOSBox editions, unlike earlier build engine games like World War II GI, which was actually the last premillennial build game. Although this game cannot be run on eDuke source ports, so if you try to run this on eDuke, it won't work. You can only run it on the original DOS version. Now, as for weapons, there are a total of 5, not including the pirate sword that serves as your emergency backup melee weapon, which was taken from an earlier pirate-themed patrol game. All these weapons are either reskinned versions of Duke Nukem 3D weapons, or in the case of the shotgun, this one, is pretty much the original Duke Nukem 3D shotgun kept intact. The M16 here is a reskinned pistol, so it's strictly semi-auto, but depending on your trigger finger, it has a firing rate similar to the infamous Glock 18 from Counter-Strike. Now in Counter-Strike, the Glock 18 actually was, you could basically, the fire rate was limited to how fast you could pull the trigger. So you can just pretty much spam the button as fast as you can, and it'll have like automatic fire. Now the shotgun is the exact same Duke Nukem 3D shotgun. The M60 machine gun, which you saw in the beginning of this video, was a reskin of the Ripper Cannon chain gun from Duke Nukem 3D, and the pipe bombs from Duke Nukem 3D is replacing with a proximity dynamite device from another build engine game. Although it's only detonated with a remote detonator you pull out after tossing a single bomb. The last weapon is an RPG, but it's apparently based on a strange reskin that I believe could be derived from Petrolia's earlier pirate-themed game. Now there are a lot of mooks to go through here, as the courtyard in the third level is filled with dozens of mooks which you can take down an unprepared player or a player that's not using God mode. Now there are invisible boundary lines which prevent the player from going out of bounds. But otherwise you can do a little bit of exploring, which will net you some weapons and ammo hidden in obscure places. But like I mentioned, there's no... Yep, there's Saddam Hussein's bunker. But there's no secret levels in this game. And by the way, the Quest for Al-Qaeda game, which originally had 3 levels, had an expansion pack which raised it to the 6 levels needed, and also had a few secret levels in there too. Now we're going to go fight Saddam. Now, despite the reasonable technical polish and Patrol's experience of using the build engine to make a decent looking mod for Duke Nukem 3D, unfortunately this remains a below average game. The lack of any other enemies besides those mooks makes going through this a fair bit on the boring side. There's M60. And many players will probably be quitting out of boredom about halfway through the game. Although those who choose to stick through the game won't be experiencing any game-breaking jankiness, unlike the later Quest for Saddam game, which had some very dodgy physics and some bad glitches, not to mention the atrocious remake / port / mockbuster that GIMP put out. So Quest for Hussein gets a D+. There he is. This game gets a D+ for me, 3 out of 10. It's disappointing, but better than this remake and that Al-Qaeda version. Now the original Quest for Al-Qaeda game is actually better than this, technically, if you put the mission pack. Come on, Saddam, die. There's the RPG. Now for Gore. Given this is a build engine game, the explosive jibbing when you blow up some Iraqi soldier mooks is the same as Duke Nukem 3D. There we go, he's dead. Where body parts fly through the air in hilarious fashion. When killed, the mook's bodies lay on the ground. Now for Nudity. Aside from a brief encounter of a TV set playing that at the time infamous Al Jazeera clip of a naked man being whipped, his ass displaying build engine graphics in the first level, there's no nudity in this game. Now for availability. You can find this game on abandonware sites. I got mine off my abandonware, and to run them you'll need DOSBox. While build engine games tend to have technical issues with that emulator, at least I didn't have any problems running this game through DOSBox. So if you go to my abandonware, you can download this. In fact, you can download all 4 of these games. The original Quest for Al-Qaeda, this, Quest for Saddam, and that Al-Qaeda version, Quest for Bush Capture. You can get them all off my abandonware. Now, by the way, the Quest for Saddam and bush capturing don't require DOSBox, they're modern games. You can run them on Windows. All you do is just extract the files and put them in game folder and it'll work. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Now I don't do requests, but if you have any questions about DVDs or films in general, hit me up in the comment section. I'll also put a comment on this later on about explaining little tips to this game. So keep an eye on the comment section of this video. Okay, I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves, stay safe, and that's it for this review. See ya.